Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's Young and the Restless recap is for Monday, September the 19th, 2022. Monday, September the 19th, 2022. Today on the Young and the Restless, it starts out, with, of course, they replayed Sally opening the door, thinking it's room service, and it's Adam there. And Adam is trying to find out, well, what's going on here in this room? And Sally's like, it's none of your business. And he's like, it doesn't look like business is going on. And so Nick is like, Adam, the lady said it's none of your business. So, and he goes, you know what? I'm talking to Sally, Nick. you know, you stay out of it. And what was interesting to me, did you notice Sally and Nick made the bed? They never do that. It's a hotel room. It's what room service is for. Sally has never been the type of girl to toss her sheets and now let's make the bed. Because Adam didn't look at the bed and say, oh, you know what? I don't have to ask what's going on in here. I could see what was going on in here. You couldn't see what was going on in there. Actually, when you walked in, Sally's fully dressed. Nick is fully dressed. Her hair's not messed up. You honestly don't know, except you do know what goes on in a hotel room with Sally Spectrum. You do know what's going to go on. Because actually, hold up, you know what's going to go on behind a closed office and locked office door if Sally Specter's in the office. You know what's going on with that chick, right? So one good question is, she's like, I told you last night we needed to avoid each other. Yet I get a text from Chloe saying you were at Newman offices looking for me. And Nick says, and I got a text from Victoria said you were up in her office looking for Sally. She's like, don't you work? I mean, really, when does Adam has never really reported for duty? The one time he reported for duty, he decides to show up at the Marchetti photo shoot. Jack obviously has not defined a job, his job duties to him. Scope of work. He hasn't defined anything to Adam because Adam has time wandering all over town sniffing up Sally. That is so crazy to me. And then we have now, but look, now this is where it's going to get messy. This is where he's going to turn on Nick, because Nick left because he wanted to talk to Sally, and Sally said, it's okay, Nick. So Nick leaves. She pretty much tells him nothing, doesn't confirm anything to him, but you know what? This is my life. We're adults. We do what we want. You made it clear we were over. We do what we want. So you go do you, right? He sees Nick at the coffee house. See, yet he still can't go to work at Jabot. He goes to the coffee house, and now he's talking to Nick, trying to see if he could get Nick to confirm and spill the beans or whatever, right? And now you could just see Adam is getting ready to use the information. It's going to come up. He's going to use the information he knows about Nick. It's going to happen. So then we have Chloe shows up at Crimson Lights, and she's talking to Nick, and Nick is just singing Sally's praises. Sally will turn around. We talked about her missing the meeting. Everything's going to be okay. She's going to do a good job. So Chloe's feeling like, you really singing her praises, but okay, right? Good. At least I still have a job. At least I still have a job if Chloe is still in good favor. But then when Sally does catch up with Chloe later at the office, because Chloe's back in the office working, and then Sally finally saunters in, and Chloe's saying, how she ran into Nick, and Nick seems to be her biggest supporter. Wow. And Chloe's just looking at her, and Sally's like, I wonder what's going on. So that thought is there in Sally's head that something must be amok okay, going on. Then we have, this was cute to me, Phyllis and Diane. Now you see, Diane was back to goading mode, trying to goat Phyllis. And Phyllis was still cool and calm, and Diane's like, I found that file you planted. And Phyllis is like, what file? Because I did no such thing. Yeah, you put it there for me to find. And I went and I told Summer and Kyle. And you know what? When I left there, I felt validated and heard. And Phyllis is like, oh, so you went running to them with something I didn't even do? Whatever. Because she goes, look, if I wanted to put something on your computer, it wouldn't have been found by you. You know, so Phyllis is still, whatever. She was keeping her cool. And I'm thinking, okay, Phyllis, did you really do it or did Diane plant it there? But by the simple fact that Phyllis didn't say that was a plant, you're trying to sabotage me, because that would have sent Phyllis over an edge. Phyllis just held her cool. I'm thinking, yeah, you did it, but it can't be traced back to you. So you're cool about it, right? So Jack comes out. Diane leaves smugly, vindicated. And Phyllis is like, flipping these swatches she's looking at. And Jack comes out and says, did I hear you talking to Diane? And she's like, yeah. And then Jack kind of alludes to the, did you put it, Diane, I hear there's something, there's a file that showed up and, did you do it? And Phyllis is like, no, I didn't. No, I did not, Jack, but she doesn't fly off the handle about it. She's like, no, I did not, and she's still sitting in the lot, in front of Jack's office going through swatches, and Summer and Kyle come in. But let me go back to the beginning of the show to set up the Summer and Kyle scene. Kyle's talking to Tracy, talking about the surprise wedding, and he wanted Tracy to do something, and because Summer's not around. And so Tracy finally stops him and says, listen, I need you to hear me. I need you to think about something. You need to tell Summer. And he goes, well, that would ruin the surprise. He goes, a wedding to a bride should not be a surprise, especially since her first wedding, she couldn't do any of the traditional things. I mean, like, Kyle, is she going to have a bridesmaid? And he goes, I didn't think of that. Because she should ask. She should be the one to ask her bridesmaid to be her bridesmaid. And in my mind, I'm thinking, does Summer have any female friends? It's a comment. I mean, that's a question I'm asking to you, the Young and the Restless fans like me. Does Summer have any female friends? And if so, who are they? Because I couldn't think of one. Mariah and Tessa's are Kyle's friends. Who's Summer's friend? But anyway, yeah, comment on that. Let me know. Does Summer have a friend? Who would she have as her maid of honor? I think her mama, right? or look, she'll pull Faith back from college. Faith will be her maid of honor. That's interesting. Huh. We'll see how that goes, right? So Kyle said, you know what? You're right. You're right. Huh. She goes, is she gonna have a last night out with the girls? That would be something that they would plan. You're taking away. So the whole thing about this new wedding, the second wedding, is so that she could experience what you guys couldn't experience in Milan. But if you do it as a surprise, she won't experience anything, So Kyle saw the wisdom. Summer comes in, she catches them talking. Tracy abruptly takes her leave, and Summer's like, you know what? I'm gonna get it out of you. You doing something, you up to something. So finally, Kyle gets down on his knees and she's like, what are you doing? He proposes to her again. And she's like, we're already married. And then he's just talking to her about, he does a great little romantic just whatever he says, this romantic speech, and she's taken by it. And of course, Summer says yes, she absolutely would love to say that renew her vows with him or redo the vows with him. And then they kiss. I'm telling you, everybody. And actually, they kissed twice. That had to be the most passionate kissing I've seen by two actors in a long time. I mean, genuinely looked like they were both sucking face. I mean, oh, I was like, oh, that's some kissing. I mean, she's got her arms wrapped all around him and pulling. I mean, oh my goodness, it's like this girl loved that scene. But anyway, it was just too adorable and so realistic to me. This scene was so realistic. Bravo to the actor Kyle and the actress Summer, because I looked like y'all was into it to me. So anyway, then they finally go to the office, right? And when they go to the office, Summer sees Phyllis sitting outside Jack's office. Kyle has like a somber look going into Jack's office, and Jack's trying to figure out, well, what's going on, Kyle? And first he goes, Summer, I told her about the wedding. No, Summer knows about the wedding. No, who spilled the beans? And Kyle said, no, I did. And Tracy talked to me, and she told me that Summer would want to be involved in her, her own wedding. And Kyle's like, woof. I mean, Jack's like, good, thank you, Tracy. And Kyle's like, well, what? I thought you were all for the surprise. He goes, well, women don't like to be surprised with weddings like that. And in my mind, Kyle's like, well, why did you say something? Really, you went along with it. He goes, well, I'm going to support you. But woo, thank goodness Tracy was the voice of reason. But why are you looking so somber? Why? And Kyle tells them what Diane did. She said this, that, and the other. And, they need to know what to do about, what this is different. What do I do? You know what Jack said? Talk to them both together, not separately, together. Period. And let them know this kind of thing in the future means both their dismissal. And Kyle looked, he goes, both? Jack said, both. There's no alternative. If you only fire one, the other, like if you fire only your mother with something, you later are going to have a problem with just Phyllis being here. And if Phyllis gets fired for something, Summer's going to have a problem with just Diane being here. So what needs to happen, if they cannot truly get rid of this, not do this kind of thing, because how are they working when they're plotting against each other? And Kyle said, that's the thing, Dad. They're both doing phenomenally in their roles. Phyllis is really doing a good job. And so is my mom. He goes, then you let them know. They both have value, but if they continue to do this, they both are going to go. So Kyle's like shaking his head. So now Summer's outside talking to Phyllis, and he's saying, oh, I know, Mom, I know all about what you've done. And Phyllis is kind of like, well, what have I done? Well, what do you think I've done? I know all about it. So she was talking about the wedding and how Phyllis knew, and she's going to help Kyle. She goes, Kyle told me about the wedding. And Phyllis was like, oh, the wedding, good. Yes, absolutely. Thank God Kyle finally told you. Why did he tell you? She goes, Tracy convinced him too. She goes, thank you, Tracy, And so Summer said, what I'm surprised at, Mom, is you being able to keep this a secret. You're never able to keep secrets. And so Phyllis was like, yeah, but I was going to keep this for Kyle. He was doing it for you. But I am so happy that now we could truly plan this mother-daughter. Now we could do this, So, we went there. And then after Jack tells Kyle his advice, or actually, I think after Kyle told Jack about what Diane said, because Jack didn't know. That's when Jack, because Phyllis was still in the lobby. Kyle and Summer had left. That's when Jack talks to Phyllis about, I just heard, what Diane is accusing you of. Did you do it? No, Jack, no, I didn't. And he goes, well, I hope not. He didn't go into nothing as I truly hope not. And he goes back in his office, and Phyllis gets a text from Summer asking her to meet her at society. And then Diane, wherever Diane's at, she gets a text from Kyle. So Phyllis is walking her way into society, and all of a sudden Diane is walking her way behind Phyllis, and Phyllis turns around like, really, Diane? You're following me now? I can't go anywhere without you being here. And Diane is like, look, my son invited me to meet him here. So no, Phyllis, I'm not following you. And Phyllis is facing the pane windows that you can see when people are coming in. And Phyllis is like, shh. And Diane's like, don't you shiss me. She goes, no. And she's smiling. It's a setup. They set us up. They're watching us right now. So Diane kind of turns and she sees, and Diane puts that smile on her face. So Diane said, I think it's Diane says, so don't mess this up. And Phyllis is like, I never messed this up. And then somebody said, you should be worried. I think Phyllis goes, you should be worried. And they're smiling, and then we get this cute scene of Kyle and Summer just watching them. And if this were bigger, and actually I have this as the thumbnail for maybe the kissing one, whatever I have as a thumbnail. You can see Diane has her fake Diane smile on her face, and Phyllis is being Phyllis, standing sideways on her hip with her hand on her hip, looking like, what are you up to? Phyllis is being Phyllis. So that's going to be cute today to kind of see, where does that end? Where, like, how does the conversation begin? Because what they're going to need to know is you both will be fired. And here's the thing, Phyllis doesn't have her hotel anymore. Okay. So what's Phyllis going to do? What is she going to do if they both get fired? So Phyllis's plans, as far as Nikki's, this big grand scheme of thing, to me, that plan just needs to go. It's ill advised, period. So let's go to comment corner. Comment corner. Robin says Elena needs to tell how Amani fueled Nate to be so foul with too big a head. Yes, she does need to tell. And that what this is doing, this is proving Devon right about Nate did need training. Nate did need a mentor, a business mentor. He really did. And then Vivian said it's called inside trading, really insider trading. Vivian, because remember I said, I forget what it's called when you were, yeah, thanks for that, the answer to that. You're 100% right. And then Libby says, Sally and Nick had the biggest lie between lovers ever conversation, where they said, I didn't mean for this to happen, right? She says, excuse me, what? You said you were going back to work and ended up at the Grand Phoenix instead. How do you intend for this not to happen as you're driving the car, right? What, you just got lost? You didn't mean to walk into the lobby, press the elevator button, get off on the floor that's remotely not in your same office building, and then walk down the hall and start making out down the hall into the room, and you didn't mean for this to happen. Yeah, right. I'm with you, Libby. That was ridiculous. And then LaShanta says insider trading is what Martha Stewart went to jail, and now for what Carly did on General Hospital. But you can see the difference. Yeah, they're different circumstances, but still all insider trading. Carly just lost big. That's like Carly heard a company was going public and bought a whole bunch of stock. That's different from hearing a company is going, and I'm not saying this is what Martha Stewart did because it's been so long, I forgot what she did. Okay. Where you got insider that a company is going to either close, going to do whatever, that's going to affect negatively their stock, and you sell off your stock before it happens, before the public can really find out, right? You're profiting from the value now and you're selling it off. Versus we sometimes do hear publicly on the news a company's getting ready to go go public. We're like, oh, I'm going to buy some of that stock when it goes public. Well, I'm going to benefit once it hits the stock market, and we're all able to buy at the same time, and then LaShunta says, sometimes I really can't stand Nick and Vicky, how they treat Adam. Nick must have forgotten that Adam saved Faith. Sally, a bucket. What is that, a notch in a belt bucket? I thought Adam and Nick were coming around to each other. Now Adam's gonna finally be messy. Yes, he is. This is gonna bring out a bad Adam. Sheila says, all because Nate is fickle for troublemaking, jealous, but Amani, he is about to lose it all. Yes, he is. He's going to lose it all, and I can't wait. It's going to backfire. And I hope they don't drag this out too long. Now we have Foxy Lady 14. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you stated. When Nate had the audacity to let the slimy plan come out of his mouth, I was shocked. Me too. He is one low piece of work. I agree, Elena should tell as soon as possible. However it goes, I can't wait to see Nate and Amani receive what they deserve. I'm not feeling Sally and Nick so far at all. There's no heat really between them. It's just the plot devised couple to stir things up. Yes, it is, because that should never have even got started. How'd that happen? Out of nowhere. That's just like, look, you know how there's not a, now Chelsea fantasizes about everybody, but Chance sure isn't. He's just thinking he's offering some mental health advice, which he shouldn't be doing, Chance. And then all of a sudden tomorrow we see Chance falling into bed with Chelsea. We would say, wait, what happened here? How did that happen? An unlikeliness of that. Okay, so anyway, and then Libby chimes into the Foxy Lady 14's comment. She says, I think it's a plot designed to make Tessa and Mariah's baby, and we won't know who the father is. That's a yes and a no. I don't understand how Sally getting pregnant. Oh, you know what? I put this Young and the Restless. I just noticed a picture on my little GH background. Everybody, I do GH and Young and the Restless. And sometimes, look, doing 2 videos in one day, I get things mixed up. So look, that should be Y and R. Actually, both pictures that I did, that should be Y and R. That's my bad. I made a mistake there. Oops. So anyway. Yeah, please. And I'm hardly going to stop and change it, fix it, and then re-record this whole thing. This is live, period. This is be fun and funny. So we all know I do too. That was a mistake. I don't see, like, look, if Sally becomes pregnant, well, something's going to have to happen. For one, for Adam will need to sleep with Sally again. Otherwise, Adam will know that baby is not his. Really, right? It's been a long minute since Adam has slept with Sally. So it would definitely be Nick's baby. There is no way on the planet, if Sally is pregnant, Nick would never allow any one of his offsprings to be adopted by anyone else. He would not. Look, he has Christian, and Christian is not his son. Christian's Adam's son. Okay. So I don't know how that's going to help with the baby situation with Mariah and Tessa. I think what would help is if Noah's ex-girlfriend comes back into town with a baby. We have not seen her. Things are going too well with Allie and Noah. There's not enough conflict in their storyline. That would bring some great conflict here into town, is that particular thing. Because the only other way I could see it is if Allie somehow became pregnant with Noah's child and died in childbirth. Because I don't see Noah as the type of father to raise that child on his own. I really don't. But that would still take a storyline plot. We would be 9 months into it before that could happen. What could be an immediate resolution or solution is if Noah's ex-girlfriend comes in tow with now, because he's been back for a good year. So we're talking, this baby could even be 6 months old now. And that would work, that would fit. Well, everybody, that's it for the daily recap today for September 19th, Monday, 2022. I will be back tomorrow with another episode of my YNR daily recap.